We are in peak summer right now, and I'm going to show you 5 perennials that are thriving in my garden in the heat and in the sun that are easy to care for and that you might want to add to your garden. Hi, it's Steph. Welcome back to my garden. Today we're going to talk about perennials specifically, and perennials are a plant that you plant once and they return to your garden year after year, providing you with years of enjoyment and beautiful blooms. So they're a great investment. And in no particular order, the first one that I want to talk about is Rudbeckia. This is also very commonly known as the black-eyed Susan, and it is a beautiful bloom that is golden in color with this dark brown center. They usually emerge in my garden here in my zone 6 around July, and they last a really long time. These go on and on until fall. And this golden color pairs so beautifully with so many other perennials. Now, this variety that I have growing in my garden is called Goldstrum. And Goldstrum is a really common cultivar of the Rudbeckia, and it grows about 2 to 3 feet in height. This is also a plant that loves full sun. So the more sun you give it, the more blooms you'll have. It likes a well-draining soil, but it's not particularly fussy. I've had it growing here and it just self-seeds readily and pops up everywhere. So if you want a plant that you'll be able to divide around the garden, Rudbeckia is a great option. Now, when we talk about full sun, that usually means that the plant is getting at least 6 hours of sun per day. This is one that you can divide and you can plug in different places in the garden, so it's a plant that just keeps on giving. And it is hardy in USDA growing zones 3 through 9. And right beside it, we have another plant that I feel every garden should have, and it is agastache. And you can see how beautifully this Blue Fortune agastache with this light purple, kind of bluish color looks with this Rudbeckia in this golden yellow color. Now, agastache is a pollinator magnet, and just like the Rudbeckia, it is also deer resistant. Deer and rabbit do not touch either the agastache or the Rudbeckia. It is hardy in USDA growing zones 5 through 10. Now, this plant here likes a well-draining soil. It will not tolerate clay or heavy soils that stay saturated in moisture, which makes it a great water-wise plant. So if you have an area that you don't get a lot of water, agastache is a great option. The leaves also have a minty fragrance, so it's really pleasant to sniff. And the pollinators love this plant. I have bees on my agastache all day long. This variety, the Blue Fortune, gets to be about 3 feet in height and about 2 to 3 feet in diameter. And it is sterile, so it doesn't drop seed. It will just continue to grow from the roots as a clump. So really love agastache. And the next perennial that I want to talk about is Sedum. You can see here in this bed, these clumps of beautiful lime green plants are Sedums. The variety that I have is called Neon, and currently it is just putting on its buds, and this will have a beautiful pink color in just a few short weeks. Now, Sedum is probably one of the easiest perennials that you can have in your garden. Not only are they easy to divide, but they are so drought tolerant. They don't need barely any water, and they need full sun. If you plant these in your garden and you give them too much water or too much fertilizer, they will start to flop in the center. So these are basically one of those plants that you just plant and leave them alone, and they do their thing and look beautiful. There are so many varieties of Sedum. The variety I have here is called Neon, but a really popular variety that I also have in my garden is called the Autumn Joy Sedum. There's also Matrona, which has really dark foliage, and they come in different heights. There are shorter Sedums and taller Sedums, but whatever variety you choose, Sedum is a great perennial addition for any garden. Not only are Sedums super easy to grow, they're also really hardy. They're hardy down to a zone 3, so they can take extreme cold as well as extreme heat. Joe Pweed, another perennial that is a pollinator magnet, specifically the swallowtail butterflies. The variety that I have here planted in my garden is the Little Joe, and the Little Joe is hardy in zones 3 through 9. And in terms of size, I am 5'4", and this plant is already about my height. It is listed to get anywhere from 3 to 5 feet in height and 2 to 3 feet in width. It is basically disease resistant, and you can see that this would make a great tall perennial for either the back of a border or in the center of some beds that you can see on both sides. So if you have like an island bed, this is a great center of the bed plant. Now, this has a beautiful kind of pink, purple, almost a mauve look to the flower, and it is really beautiful. It also blooms for a really long time. We are now in the peak of summer, and this just started blooming about a week ago, and it will go until the fall. You can deadhead it to keep the blooms coming, but this is a great perennial to add to any garden. Joe Pyeweed likes a moist but well-draining soil. This bed here is pretty moist and this plant has done really well for me. It is also native, so if you are interested in adding more native perennials to your garden, Joe Pyeweed would be a good option. And perennial alliums. Now, these beautiful alliums are a great option for any garden because they pair so beautifully with all other perennials. They have this beautiful globe-shaped bloom, which is really unique. It looks like a little ball. And what's great about these is they're part of the onion family, which means that they put off a little bit of a fragrance, which deters rabbits and deer from eating on them. So they're deer and rabbit resistant, pest resistant. I have never had any issues growing these in my garden. The Millennium Alium is hardy in zones 5 through 9 and it loves full sun. I don't find it to be fussy about soils. The soil in this bed is pretty moist, but I also have another variety called Lavender Bubbles growing in another bed that leans pretty dry and it does equally well. The plant is also a pollinator magnet. It is still early, so the bees are not active, but at any given time, there are probably dozens of bees swarming around this plant. So I find it a really great, easy, low maintenance perennial to grow in the garden. As you can see, these 5 perennials are looking great despite it being the height of the summer. They're all low maintenance and I don't ever have to fertilize them or do anything to them. They just come up every year and look beautiful. So if you're looking to add color that will come back year after year with no effort on your part, these would be great options. At the end of the season, you can decide to cut them back either in the fall or next spring when you're doing your cleanup, and that is it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love it if you could give me a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, it's free to do so. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.
He sees me. I see him. Stand up. Oh. Oh. Hello.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.